Welcome back to Baby Takes. We are so excited to be back. Today, we got a big episode. We're going to talk about all the skill positions. We're predicting the future depth chart on offense with quarterback, running back, receiver, and tight end. Obviously, some big news. This is the first episode we have done since we did an episode, but this is the first episode we're going to be able to talk about Casey Thompson, Chubba Purdy, some other transfers we got, which is obviously super exciting to us. So we're going to pick where they're going to be on the depth chart and how this crazy quarterback competitions, we think how it's going to go. But before all that, if you like Nebraska content, you like Big Ten content, we might even throw in some professional like NFL stuff. Subscribe, because it looks like 99 of the people viewing these videos are not subscribed. So if you like these types of videos, like and subscribe. So without further ado, we're going to start off with, let's start off with tight ends. I feel like tight ends are an easy one. So Zach, why don't you say pretty much the top tight ends on the roster that have a chance of starting?
Yeah, so start off with Thomas Fadone the second. He's at Council Bluffs, Iowa. Big recruit last year, hurt. Back this year, he's a redshirt freshman, so glad he got to use that red shirt, and we'll still get his 4 years. Really good build at 6'6", 235. Kind of similar to what we saw with Austin Allen. Really big, but not. He's really tall, but not really as big, so he can still get down the field and catch those balls and get up. And then another one is Travis Vokalek, who was the backup last year. He's even bigger. He's 6'6", 260. So I see a little more blocking out of him, but at the same time, maybe some short possession catches, 3rd and 2, a 3rd and 3, something like that. But especially with what we need on this line, a couple big tight ends is super helpful. That's great to have. So yeah, those are the two guys that really stand out to me. But up and down this tight end roster, you got guys that are 6'6", 6'5", all up and down it. So that's really big for me.
Yeah, the Big Ten tight end mold pretty much got big, athletic. Vokalek showed a lot of promise last year, backing up Austin Allen. We ran a lot of 2 tight end sets, which I don't know how much we're going to be doing that this year with our new coordinators and stuff. But yeah, Vokalek played not as much as Austin Allen, obviously, but he played just as much, and he showed promise in those short routes, a lot of blocking. He was really impressive, I think. So really excited to see him. And then Thomas Fadone, didn't get to see him much because he got hurt last year, towards the beginning of the year. Luckily, that saved his red shirt. Maybe a little bit of silver lining there, but really excited because he's got tons of potential to be just as good or better maybe than Austin Allen was. So in terms of depth chart, like I said, last year we ran a lot of 2 tight end sets. So there really wasn't a starter. We knew Austin Allen was the main guy, but Vokalek was also out there in blocking packages and I form and stuff like that. So if we run dual, I expect both these guys to get plenty of playing time. But if we're just running the 1 tight end sets, I see Vokalek definitely starting at first, at least. And then if Thomas Fadone can take that step, I think he can definitely jump into that starting role, especially with Mark Whipple and his high pass offense. I think Fadone can definitely take that step. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Vokalek needs to start off the bat just because of the experience he has. Have Fadone sit under him for a little bit, learn the game, learn the college level, learn the new offense, and then get in there and do some damage.
So now let's jump to we'll save quarterbacks for last because I'm sure that's what everybody wants to hear. So we'll step into the running backs because there's some interesting names here. So I'll name off some of the returners. So I don't know what the news is on Gabe Ervin. on his injury. I don't know if he's going to be ready for the beginning of the year. But last year he looked like the most complete back. I think we probably sprung him into action a little too soon, but he definitely has a lot of potential as he was just a freshman last year and gets to save his red shirt as well. So depending on whether he's back or not, that's going to change some things. But we got him. Obviously, Ramir Johnson showed that he can be a great receiver out of the backfield. He was our most used back once all the injuries happened. You got Yant, who shows a lot of promise, but for some reason can't stay on the field and get those and earn those reps, as we've heard the coaches talk about. We got some transfers. We got Deondre Jackson, who's not going to be there for spring ball, but he will hopefully be eligible to come back in May or in August and enroll in the fall. And then you got Anthony Grant, who I'm really excited for. He looks like a really complete back. Originally, he was committed to Florida State and then went JUCO to New Mexico Military Academy as they won. I think they won the JUCO national championship.
I think he's the number one running back.
He's the number one JUCO running back, which has been a common theme for us as we had Dedrick Mills, who was the number one JUCO running back. And then we had one more. I can't think of his name. He plays at San Diego State, right? Oh, Greg Bell. He was the number one JUCO running back. And we got him. So seems like a pretty good tradition to have. But Anthony Grant, I think, can compete with Gabe Ervin to be the most complete back on the roster. He ran for over 1,700 yards in his JUCO season. Was the top back in JUCO. So really excited to see what he can do. And someone I think I forgot to mention was Marquise Stepp, who got a lot of.
Marquise Stepp is a huge guy to have back.
Yeah.
Really, really good player, and he's more of the athletic kind of, right?
Marquise Stepp is the power.
Yes.
He's the heavy power. He has the most Power 5 experience as he's coming from USC, transferred here last year. I thought he was going to take that top role, which he showed flashes throughout the year, but just couldn't stay consistent enough to keep that lead job. But yeah, we also had a few guys leave, like Sevion Morrison transferred to KU, Marvin Scott transferred to Florida Atlantic. So we'll take that in consideration with our depth chart predictions. But Zach, why don't you start with your depth chart predictions, and then I'll go ahead.
Yeah, so just returning guys, love to, I think start the season off. I'd love to see Jacques Yant come back out and just get in there at that starting role and do his part. But at the same time, you can't count out guys like DeAndre Jackson coming out of Texas A&M. And what was the JUCO's?
Anthony Grant.
Yeah, and like him, obviously, hasn't had the high-level experience, but clearly experienced running back and clearly can do some damage. So I say Yant, Grant, and Jackson would probably be my top three. But I'd love to see Ramir Johnson and Marquise Stepp also come in there. There's just so many of them that I feel is a good problem to have, especially with running backs, because running backs get beat up a lot. So to have those guys be able to rotate and flow would be really nice.
Yeah, so I went a little different. My top three, I'll start at the bottom. It's hard because I think on obvious passing situations, I think Ramir will probably be in. He's definitely the best receiving back we have, showed that towards the end of the year. And then I don't know. I think Anthony Grant just comes in and takes that starting spot. If you've seen recently with our JUCO running backs that we've talked about with Dedrick Mills and Greg Bell, they just come in and they take that spot. And especially them being here for spring ball as well, they're going to learn the system. So I think right off the bat, I think Grant is the lead back. I think Yant also gets a lot of touches. And then I think Ramir Johnson gets those third down screens, passing situation touches as well. But I think we're going to run a lot of running backs because we just have so many. Why not try to keep everybody fresh as we possibly can? So I think Yant's going to get a lot of touches, but I do think Anthony Grant is going to get the most touches out of all of them. So then another really exciting group to talk about is the wide receivers. I'm excited to see what Mickey Joseph can do with these group of guys because there's a lot of potential here. And starting off with the guys we already had, like Omar Manning, Xavier Betts. There was some other guys that, I mean, obviously the guys that left aren't going to be here, but then some guys that came in through the transfer portal, Trey Palmer, really excited to see what he can do. And then Isaiah Garcia Castaneda from New Mexico. Really excited to see what he can do. I think he's going to take over that Samori Toure role, but I won't spoil my whole depth chart. So really excited for that. And yeah, I guess before I get into the depth chart, Zach, you want to say anything about these receivers and what you think?
Really excited to see what we can turn guys like Trey Palmer, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, and Dakotas Crawford even. Don't think he'll get a whole lot of playing time, but just what we can develop him into. Great wide receiver coach. And then guys like Omar Manning and Xavier Betts always have room to improve. So, if they can get in there and just learn from some of the best, I think this could be a great receiving core.
Yeah. So getting in the depth chart, I think we're going to run a lot of 3 receiver sets, but we're just going to name our top 4 receivers. I think the number 1 receiver, someone I'm super excited to see take their next step and work up their draft stock even, is Omar Manning. Omar Manning came into the program with a ton of potential. He's that big body contested catch receiver. We saw a little bit of flash last year, but couldn't get him the ball downfield and in the red zone like I hoped we could. So I think that changes a lot with Mark Whipple, Mickey Joseph getting the most out of him. So I know this is probably high thinking, but Jamar Chase came from Mickey Joseph, and I see a lot of similarities between Jamar Chase and Omar Manning. Obviously, Omar Manning, I never expect to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. We'll see. But I expect him to be receiver 1. Receiver 2 on the other side, I expect to be Xavier Betts. He's another guy that was a high recruit coming out of high school and has a lot of speed and a lot of raw talent. He just needs to put that all together. Needs to learn how to make these quick moves, those quick route runs. You see him run deep and he runs straight fast, but in terms of getting out of those cuts explosively, you just need to see more of that. But you've definitely seen flashes once again, like Omar Manning. But I also want Xavier Betts to take a big jump. And then our next 2 receivers, I think, are going to be Garcia Castaneda and Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer is coming in as a return specialist, but even last year he got more of that receiver role at LSU and really show how much athleticism he has, how much quickness he has, and he can be a really good deep threat, good solid receiver. So I'm really excited for that. But Castaneda, I think, can be that Samori Toure role. Maybe not as good, but he also has time to develop. I think he has 2 or 3 years of eligibility left. So I wish we could have had Samori Toure for 2 or 3 more years because I think he could have been a really, really, really good receiver. But just a smart receiver who knows how to run the routes, knows how to get in and out of cuts, has really good hands. There was a lot of teams going after Castaneda for a reason, and I think one of Nebraska's biggest selling points was Samori Toure and what he did in his first year here. So, in terms of top 4, I've got Omar Manning, Xavier Betts, Castaneda, and then Trey Palmer. I think we have a really deep receiving core, like you said, with Coldest Crawford still. We have a lot to work with, and I'm really excited. So, what do you got for your top 4?
Yeah, so I'm going to start pretty much same. Omar Manning up there, great leader. Just nice to have an older guy on that team that can play great. And then under him, Xavier Betts, like you said, a little bit of work needed on those cuts and a little bit of the route running work needed. But I think Mickey Joseph can do a little fine tuning and he can fix that and stuff like that. And then I'd love to see Trey Palmer and even Garcia Castaneda both be on their work their times in, because I think it's really crucial to have young wide receivers on those return teams. Not because that's where they can excel, but also to get them time on the field and not only just out there running routes when we're just going to throw it to the big guys. I want the ball in their hands sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I think with Scott Frost's creativity that we saw towards the end of the year, and then Mark Whipple, obviously, with his really, really impressive offense last year at Pitt, I think we're going to see a lot of plays like the options from last year that we got Toure involved with, and some jet sweep action, just some screen action. I think Whipple and Frost both just want to get their best players the ball and find the best way to do that. So I'm really excited to see how that's going to work out. But now, the time that everybody's obviously been waiting for, the quarterbacks. If you would have told me 2 months ago that at the end or at the beginning of the year, we would have the deepest quarterback room in the Big Ten, I wouldn't expect that. But in terms of star ratings, we got Casey Thompson, who's a former 4-star, Chubba Purdy, former 4-star, and Logan Smothers, who's a former 4-star. Actually, Chubba Purdy was the number 7th ranked dual quarterback in the same class that Logan Smothers was in. I think Logan Smothers was ranked 14th, I believe. So both really young, both still got, I think Smothers has 3 years of eligibility and Purdy has 4. So really excited to see what they can do, but also really excited to see what Casey Thompson can do. One prediction I do have is I don't think all the quarterbacks on the roster right now will be there after spring ball. I think with how college football is today, you can't expect to keep 4, if you're including Harburg, good quarterbacks that could be starting other places on the roster. I don't think Smothers and Harburg transfer, but I mean, it could happen. And obviously, I think I see Casey Thompson and Chubba Purdy being on the roster. So I'll get to the depth chart after you get some words out, if you want to, about these quarterbacks. I know I'm really excited. So
yeah, huge to have our obviously pretty much guaranteed guy here with Thompson, and then with that, it's really cool to see the future with Purdy and Smothers, and then Heinrich Harburg, and then Torres down there.
Yeah, Richard Torres too.
Yeah, and then just found out today, a guy by the name of Pauly. He was the Kansas Max Preps football player, signed up to Nebraska to play some baseball. Mark Whipple reached out to him. Quarterback from Kansas. He was the Kansas Player of the Year this year. And so Mark Whipple called him up, and he's actually going to go up there in the summer and do a little summer training with the football team, see if he's a guy they'd like to have, and if not, they'll just go up there and play baseball. But just another possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't know that. So that's really cool. So in terms of depth chart, I'll start at the bottom. So I think I'll do my top three. So third string, I think is going to be Smothers. I really, really, really like Smothers. It's just in terms of potential and in terms of fit, I think both Purdy and Casey Thompson are better fits for Whipple's offense. I know Whipple said that he's going to do whatever he can to maximize every quarterback's possibilities, but I think that the strength of our offense right now is our receiver group. So we want to get those guys involved as much as we can. And the best way to do that is with a better passing quarterback. Smothers is capable, as we saw, had us winning that game against Iowa until our special teams did what they did. So, but yeah, I think Smothers is going to be third string. And second and first string, I wouldn't count Purdy out on starting. I mean, Oklahoma wanted him for a reason. This dude's got talent, and I wouldn't count it out. But I also think that Casey Thompson's experience in the Big 12 and Power 5 threw for over 2,000 yards last year with a hurt thumb most of the year. So I really like all of our quarterbacks, but I think Casey Thompson is going to start the first game at least. And hopefully he does well enough to stay in. So Casey Thompson as a starter, Chubba Purdy backup, Logan Smothers third string. If he doesn't transfer, I hope he doesn't transfer. But also if he's going to be third string, I don't see him getting a lot of opportunity. So if he needs to get opportunity elsewhere, makes sense. But love to see him on the roster as long as we can get him.
Yeah, so I put Casey Thompson number one, experience level. I think his skill level is there, leadership is there. I think everything points to him being the day one starter, and then even starting for the rest of the season. And then I actually put Chubba, Purdy, and Logan Smothers at an even line, just because we really haven't seen much of either.
Right.
And who knows what Mark Whipple, Mickey Joseph can do with those guys. So I put them there. And then Heinrich Harburg is who I put below them, just because I think there's a reason that we saw Smothers against Iowa and not Harburg. Like, I think,
Right.
that should Smothers is the better quarterback there, but not to count Harburg out. I mean, obviously he's got a great arm. He's got a great build, and he can he's not super mobile, but he's mobile inside the pocket, which is really.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have for sure, to have that many quarterbacks that can play elsewhere. But yeah, as I said before, in college football today, that if there's opportunity elsewhere, they're going to find it. So really excited for this season. And really, really, really excited to see what these coaches can do. Obviously, I want Frost to stick around. But if he doesn't get the job done, we got to do what we got to do. But I believe he will get the job done, and I believe we will go to a bowl game this year, but I don't want to spoil too much, as we will probably do a schedule prediction or a season prediction later down the line. But as well as offensive breakdown, we will do defensive breakdown if you guys want. There's a lot of big names with transfers and returning guys. So really, really excited to get that out to you if you guys want that next week. But that's all I got for the offensive skill position breakdown. Zach, you got anything before we cut it off?
That's it for me.
And good luck to Zach this weekend as he travels to, where are you going this weekend?
Dubuque, Iowa.
Dubuque, yep. Zach's heading out to Dubuque to wrestle, so wish him good luck. And yeah, until next week, I think that's it. We'll see you then.